The night had settled over Willow Ridge Park like a velvet curtain, soft and quiet, the kind of night where even the trees seemed to whisper. The lamps scattered across the pathways glowed in pale halos, and the distant hum of the town blended with the chirping of crickets. The world looked peaceful, but hidden in the shadows of the old oak trees was something that would shake the hearts of millions. Before the story begins, my dear viewers, please like and share my videos and subscribe the channel Kindness Soul Stories. It all started on a Thursday evening. A chilly breeze drifted through the park as the moon climbed over the horizon. The benches were empty, the swings gently swayed as if pushed by invisible hands, and the rusted merry-go-round turned a few inches at a time. It was the kind of evening where families were home having dinner, teens were scrolling through their phones, and the only people out were the lonely, the wanderers, or the kind who carried trouble behind them. And that night, trouble wore leather jackets and rode steel horses. 12 Harley-Davidson bikes thundered into the park's parking lot, their motors echoing through the silent neighborhood. They rode like a pack of wolves, tight formation, headlights slicing through the darkness. Their jackets bore the iconic red and white insignia of the Hells Angels. To many people, that symbol meant fear, rebellion, danger, but not everything is ever as it seems. Sometimes, the world is saved by the very people it fears. The leader of the pack, a heavy-built man named Jackson Grizzly Hale, switched off his engine first. He swung his leg over the bike, boots hitting the ground like stone. His beard was a forest of gray and black, and a scar ran across his cheek like a lightning bolt. Behind him, the rest of the bikers dismounted, talking loudly, stretching, shaking off the cold. They weren't there to cause trouble. They were simply riding through the town on their way to an annual memorial rally 2 states away. The park was only a quick stop. Water refill, bathroom break, maybe a smoke for a few of them. They couldn't have known that fate had planned something entirely different for them. As they walked toward the restrooms near the edge of the park, a strange sound stopped Grizzly in his tracks. It was faint, barely there, a whimper, a fragile cry carried by the wind. Grizzly frowned, lifting a hand for silence. The other bikers froze, and then they all heard it. A soft, trembling sound like the mewling of a tiny animal. Or a child. What the hell? Muttered Chains, a tall biker with tattoos covering both arms. Is that a cat? No cat sounds like that. Grizzly said. The cry came again. This time clearer, higher, desperate. A baby. Without a second's hesitation, Grizzly started jogging toward the trees. The others followed, boots pounding over the grass, leather creaking. They swept their flashlights across the ground, searching. There, beneath an old bench, wrapped in a thin blue blanket, was a newborn baby. The child's skin was turning slightly blue from the cold, tiny fists trembling, face scrunched in distress. "Oh, holy," breathed Daisy, the only woman in the group, her voice breaking instantly. "It's just a few days old, maybe less. Who the hell leaves a baby out here?" Chains whispered. Grizzly knelt, his rough hands gentle as he lifted the corner of the blanket. The baby let out a cry so heart-piercing that the entire gang fell silent. These were men used to noise, used to violence, used to the harshest sides of life. But nothing hits the heart like a helpless child. Daisy crouched beside Grizzly, examining the baby. "He's freezing. We need to warm him up now, or he won't survive." "Someone call 911, Grizzly ordered. But there was a problem. They were bikers, Hells Angels. Cops didn't exactly roll out the red carpet for them. A late night call from a biker group might not go smoothly, and every second mattered for the baby. "We'll take him to the hospital ourselves," Grizzly said. "We can't waste time." But another voice spoke up, Tank, the quiet giant of the group. "Hold on, if we show up at the hospital with a baby." He didn't finish the sentence, but everyone understood. "They might get arrested first and questioned later." "All right then," Grizzly said, eyes burning with determination. "Plan B? What's Plan B?" Chains asked. "We save him ourselves." They didn't know how. Not yet, but when people with hard lives face something small and fragile, An instinct awakens, an instinct to protect. Daisy scooped the baby into her arms, pressing him to her chest under her jacket for warmth. "We need a warm place right now," Grizzly thought quickly. "There's an old community center 2 blocks away. Abandoned, but it still has electricity. We'll go there. Daisy, you ride with me. Keep the baby against your body." No one argued. Engines roared to life again, but this time the sound wasn't wild and rebellious. It was purposeful. It was the sound of unlikely guardians racing against time. The bikers rode through the quiet streets, their headlights illuminating the darkness like a small army of angels. The irony wasn't lost on any of them. They arrived at the community center within minutes. The building was dusty, abandoned years ago when the town's budget was cut, but Grizzly had seen lights on in the past. Old emergency circuits still worked. Inside, the place smelled of old wood and forgotten memories. The gang moved fast. They cleared a table, grabbed old blankets from a storage closet, and Daisy carefully laid the baby down. The child cried weakly, his tiny chest rising and falling rapidly. "He's cold," Daisy said. "We need to warm him up immediately." Grizzly took off his own leather jacket, lined with thick wool, then pulled off his sweatshirt. He handed the sweatshirt to Daisy, who wrapped the baby inside it. "Chains," Grizzly said. "Run back to the bikes. Get anything warm. Jackets, gloves, anything." Chains sprinted out faster than anyone had ever seen him move. Tank grabbed 2 space heaters from a dusty corner and plugged them in. Slowly, the air warmed. The baby's crying softened. "Good boy," Daisy whispered, stroking his cheek. "Stay with us." Meanwhile, Razor, the gang's medic, not officially, but he had first day training from his military days, checked the baby over. "He's dehydrated," Razor said, "and hungry. What does a baby this small even eat?" Chains asked when he returned with armfuls of jackets. "Formula," Daisy said. "He needs formula." "And where the hell do we get that at midnight?" Razor asked. Grizzly stared at his bike keys. "There's a 24-hour pharmacy 10 minutes from here. I'll go." "No," Daisy said firmly. "You stay. You're the steady one. Chains, go with Razor, buy formula for newborns, and hurry." Chains and Razor nodded and raced out the door. While they were gone, Grizzly sat beside Daisy. He looked at the tiny child, barely bigger than his massive hand. Why would someone abandon him? He asked softly. Daisy shook her head. Maybe fear, maybe desperation, maybe something darker. Grizzly sighed. "People judge us every day, call us monsters, but this," he pointed at the baby, "this is real innocence, and someone threw it away." Daisy pressed the baby closer. "Not tonight, not on our watch." Those words stayed in the air like a silent oath. 10 minutes later, Chains and Razor returned, breathless, carrying formula, a bottle, and a small pack of diapers. Had to explain to the cashier why 2 bikers were buying baby stuff at midnight. Chains muttered. She nearly fainted. Razor prepared the bottle, testing the temperature on his wrist like he'd seen mothers do. Then Daisy fed the baby gently. The little boy sucked hungrily, eyelids fluttering with relief. And then, the moment that broke every biker's heart, the baby stopped crying and curled his tiny fingers around Daisy's thumb. Even Grizzly's tough face softened. "Look at that," Tank murmured, like he's saying thank you. But the night was far from over. Once the baby was fed and warm, Razor said, "He still needs a hospital. He needs proper care. We can't keep him here long. But if we call now," Chains said, "cops will think we kidnapped him. So we bring them here," Grizzly said. The group exchanged looks. "Are you seriously going to call the police on ourselves?" Chains asked. Grizzly nodded. "We didn't choose this, but we're finishing it." Daisy agreed. "The baby's safety comes first, even if it means trouble." So Grizzly called 911. He didn't hide who he was. He didn't pretend to be someone else. He told the truth. "This is Jackson Hale. People call me Grizzly. Hell's Angels. We found an abandoned baby in Willow Ridge Park. The child is safe, warm, fed. You better come quick." There was silence on the line. Then the operator said, "Sir, stay where you are. Officers and medics are on the way." Within minutes, the sound of sirens approached. The gang stood in a protective circle around the baby as police cars pulled up outside the community center. Officers poured in, hands on weapons, unsure what to expect, but what they found stopped them cold. 12 intimidating bikers standing quietly, surrounding a tiny baby swaddled in jackets. Daisy stepped forward. "He's just a newborn. We did everything we could. Please be gentle." The officers lowered their weapons. One of the older officers stepped forward, his face softening. You saved him." "No," Grizzly corrected. "We just found him, and we weren't gonna leave him." Paramedics rushed to examine the baby. "His temperature is stabilizing." One medic said, "You saved his life tonight." The police captain looked at Grizzly. "This'll make headlines, you know that, right?" "We didn't do it for headlines," Grizzly said. "We did it because no child deserves the world he was given tonight." As the baby was carried out on a stretcher, Daisy touched his tiny hand one last time. Her eyes were full of tears. "Be safe, little one." The medics promised the baby would receive care immediately, and then something unbelievable happened. The captain approached Grizzly and held out his hand. Grizzly hesitated, then shook it. "Thank you," the captain said. Over the next days, the story exploded across the nation. News outlets ran headlines like, "Hell's Angels Save Abandoned Baby," "Heroes in Leather," "Biker Gang Rescues Newborn in Midnight Mission," "The Angels Behind the Hell's Angels." Social media was flooded with messages praising them. People cried reading the story. They argued about judging books by their covers. They talked about humanity, kindness, redemption, but the biggest twist came a week later. The hospital announced that the baby was healthy, recovering, thriving, and the state opened an investigation to find his biological parents. Grizzly and the gang visited the baby in the hospital, invited by the staff. When the baby saw Daisy, he recognized her voice and smiled. It wasn't a conscious memory, but somehow, somewhere, the heart remembers kindness. The hospital staff even joked, "He thinks she's his biker mama." The gang laughed, but Daisy wiped a tear. Days turned into weeks, and the baby's future became uncertain. He needed a guardian family, a home, and that's when Daisy made the decision that shocked even the Hell's Angels. She filed to adopt him. Court questioned everything, her lifestyle, her gang association, her income, her history, but Daisy stood firm. "I'm not adopting him because I pity him. I'm adopting him because I already love him." The trial took months. But in the end, the court agreed. Daisy was granted custody. The baby, who she named Ezekiel, meaning God strengthens, went home with her. The Hell's Angels threw the greatest celebration the biker world had ever seen. Chrome, thunder, and leather surrounded the tiny baby in a sea of grins and outstretched arms. Ezekiel became the unofficial mascot of the gang, the little angel rescued by the angels people misunderstood the most. Years later, when Ezekiel grew old enough to understand, Daisy showed him the news articles, the pictures, the videos. She told him the story of the night the world changed, because a group of unlikely heroes refused to walk away from a cry in the dark. And every year on the anniversary of that night, the Hell's Angels rode together to Willow Ridge Park, placing a single white rose beneath the bench where Ezekiel was found, not as bikers, not as outlaws, but as protectors, because sometimes, Jalil, the world's greatest miracles begin in the most unexpected places, and sometimes, the people the world fears are the ones who end up saving it.